Peace and love, everybody. It's your Brozo here. Another episode of Elevated Beings podcast. And today, well, first off, at Elevated Beings, as you all know, I like to link up with individuals that have taken the time to cultivate the best parts of them being themselves and able to use that energy and harness it for themselves and also to uplift others. Right now, I have the brother, Supreme Understanding here.
Thank you.
My man, Supreme Understanding here. And today, we're just pretty much going to build on, as you know, I got these questions, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to go ahead and start building with the brother. But first off, number one question is, please, for the audience members that don't know who you are, please, you know, talk about yourself, tell them what you do, you know, et cetera, and, you know, let them kind of understand where we're coming from.
I like to say that I'm a teacher of knowledge itself. That's a simple thing. It's a little bit different from being a healer, I think, because we don't teach that we're healers because you got to heal yourself. So we teach people how to find themselves. There's not a lot of us, but it's a nice calling. And so in the course of being that, I've been a school teacher, an author, book publisher, a community educator, and a family member too, because all that's related. So, yeah, what I do is I teach. That's what I like to do.
We definitely need teachers, brother.
Yeah.
So kudos, and I appreciate that, you know, for putting on that hat and, you know, teaching the community. Another question: how have you been?
Dang, man, so this is like for the people that have been looking for me, and they've been wondering where I've been at, or the people that see me sporadically and wonder what's going on with me. And I get it. I still have to make it make sense to the people that have no clue who I am.
Exactly.
It's yeah, it's a long story, but I'll make it short. I was a publisher and successful because I was married. That was one of the greatest things, man. Shout out to women, shout out to black women, shout out to black mothers, because my wife, the immortal Mecca Wise, she was an amazing, like, angelic being. Like, she was, like, amazing, right? Not to say that we never had no conflicts. I mean, I don't got conflicts by myself. I could be in a room by myself and I'm going to have conflicts. So shout out to her for enduring me, you know what I mean, dealing with me and like, you know, helping me along the way, blessing me with children. Like, that was like a major chapter of my life, learning to be a husband, a father, and also a business owner and a homeowner and a community member and a community worker, right? And so this is like around the time when, you know, Trayvon Martin and all these things was really getting into the news and the consciousness of the people. Because we were able to do books before the internet took off, before smartphones took off, like before, you know, having information on a screen in front of you was a normal thing. So when we put out books like How to Hustle and Win, they were like received like, yo, I've never seen no information like this. And they circulated, you know, hand to hand, word of mouth. And then, you know, as time went on, like over the next few years, Facebook started dominating, you know, and we started having way more ways to not only reach each other, but find anything. But it was like, you know how they say, like, people, if only people had access to information, that wasn't the problem. It was the way that we approach information. It was the way that we approach learning. It's the way that we approach our lives. And that was what was lacking. So those books really help with that. But, you know, when 2012, 2013 rolled around, me and my wife were dealing with breast cancer. So it wasn't caused by diet or things like that. It was a genetic, hereditary thing that many of us have, and we got to talk about, which is we have hereditary conditions and genetic things that, because of something or whatever happened in the family ancestrally, you know what I mean, you still have the ability for this thing to be triggered, this gene to go left or to go right. Stress is a major trigger. We were both really stressed around, you know what I mean, those times. And like, when the new lifestyle turned to not learning how to be a father, but to learn, you know, what it's like dealing with cancer. Still dealing with the community. Like, I started to fall back naturally. I had already been falling back from the time my daughter was born, like my firstborn. But like, I realized then it's like, okay, you know, this is challenging because I have to make sure that I still do some kind of work for the business, do some kind of marketing. There was no marketing team, there was nobody really else in place to help out like that. And so without her really in that, you know, co-pilot seat, it was like the business was struggling. And so for a while, like I was like, all right, we're just gonna do the best we can with this business. We're gonna do our best to keep it afloat. And I'm gonna focus on what we can do at home. And man, that was like, what, a 3-year battle? So 2014, she transitioned, and that was like, so everybody I meet nowadays, I'd be like, you really didn't get to meet me. If you met me since then, you met a whole nother me. If you met me at any point, like, you probably met a different me. So the how I've been is kind of relative. Like, compared to some people, they'd be like, yo, he's doing great. And compared to how I was, I'm doing great.
Yeah, because when we were talking about before we first met, actually, I remember it was like it was some convention center. It was like some festival, and I could just tell from your energy that you were, you know, you just had a burden on you, man. You know what I'm saying? You just had so much in your mind. So obviously, that was probably around, I'm saying, either you were dealing with this or, you know, right after the fact. So you saying that right now, you know what I'm saying, puts even more clarity on, you know, that energy exchange we had then.
And I think there's a lot of people that go through that. They go through the challenges of having to be committed to their family and being committed to the larger family, to the community. And sometimes your children will suffer, they'll feel neglected. Sometimes you'll be having problems at home that came from the outside world that ain't even got nothing to do with your family. And sometimes you don't have it all for everybody. You run out of juice because you're giving that over here. So my wife passed. I had a choice. I knew all this time I was like, I don't know how to shut down this publishing company because this is the thing that I want to make sure exists so that my babies have a way. Because you can't pass down a job.
Exactly.
You can't pass down a job. You can pass down skills to some extent, but you can pass down companies and intellectual property.
Exactly.
And so I wanted to keep the company running and keep the books in circulation because I'm thinking about longevity. I'm thinking about sustaining. And yet in the moment, tragedy. I didn't know what I was doing half the time. But fortunately, we made it through all that. We made it through all that. Like, that was like, and you know, like, I've been through all the stages of grief, probably still grieving, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it changes. But for a while, I didn't really want to be in the public eye because what people want from you, like I said, a lot of times they want to be healed. And they'll present themselves like, I came to build, but I really came to be healed.
Yeah, exactly.
Which if you come in to build and then you're trying to heal somebody at the same time, you're probably not going to get too much building done.
It's not balanced there.
No.
Yeah, well, first off, let me say that, you know, I'm definitely sorry for your loss, you know what I mean? From the bottom of my heart, honestly, you know, and I'm just happy that you know, you're able to take that, you know, and still be, you know, progressive, you know, and still, you know, ready to open to heal yourself, you know what I'm saying, and also to heal others, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead and put that,
Next question.
Yeah, next question. Shit, I might keep this in the edit.
Might as well. I mean, it's all real.
Yeah, for real. All right.
Because this is like the first time I've really done an interview on any of this stuff.
Oh, word?
Yeah. You know, I don't do this.
Yeah.
If I make a video, like, I'll get on social media because people were saying I was gone too.
Yeah.
It was like, he ain't around no more either.
The reason why I asked that question specifically is because of what you just said. Because I know you went through stuff, but on the same time, you know, people. I wanted
they don't
to
know. They don't
know. Exactly.
No clue.
So that's why, you know,
and
I made it broad for a reason.
About when you seem like you up, because they be so jealous of your up and be like, yo, do you know what I've been through, what I'm going through, what I still got on my heart? Like, no,
like, a clue.
Yeah, your life is your life, man. Your struggle is your struggles, man. Ain't no trading places out here.
This is a trip about life, man, because like, even though we're all still here living on this planet, this third dimension, but it's like our life is our own play. You know what I'm saying? Our own TV show. Yeah. I mean, like the Truman Show. You know what I'm saying?
You better make this experience epic.
Exactly. All right. Another question. Why did you start to write books?
All right. So like, before I was even a school teacher, when I was in school, like long story short, like I'm a juvenile delinquent, like grown up. I've always been a troublemaker. I've always been a rabble rouser, a shit starter, a problem creator. Yeah,
no.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You know what I mean? So, and I feel like I'm glad because so many people that was immigrants' kids was raised to be conformists.
Yeah.
Raised to be obedience. You know what I mean? I call them chai wallas. I don't want to be mean, but like chai wallas, that word out of Slumdog Millionaire, where I mean tea bringer. Cause remember he was working in the call center. You feel me? Like, and was deep as Slumdog Millionaire. I feel like it's a little bit like my story, even though I didn't grow up on that side. Because like all the knowledge that he accumulated through all of his tragic experiences is what made him have the gift to be a millionaire.
Exactly.
And it's like a lesson in that. Like, but a lot of us don't choose that fearless path. We choose that like that kind of like subservient path. And I'm just glad that I was so rejected so many times early on by the white world, by the wealthy world, by the private school, by the blonde girls, and you name it. I got to see what was real. And you know who showed me love? The hood.
The hood.
Hood love is real love. I tell you.
That's the truth, man. That's the truth. All right. So.
But to answer it, that's what made me want to write books because it's like, yo, the things that I was sharing with the young in the community that I was living in, ever since I was in school, when I was in Morehouse, wherever I went, I wanted to engage in a healthy relationship with the young because the 5% raised me to be like in that educational capacity. Like we striving to be good, do good, and then teach good. And so like I was around that. I seen that. So when I got to Atlanta, I carried the same thing. The brothers that was out here, they raised me up for the same intentions. It was consistent. Like we here for those younger than us. We here for those more, going through worse than us. And we gonna show them the light, show them the way. So doing this, like in the neighborhood, like I get frustrated. Like I'll be like, man, I just told this young boy the greatest story ever. Like I done had him give up the shotgun. He was about to go kill the other dude, and I done talked him out of it. And, and now this story, I wish I could broadcast it, like get on a bullhorn and tell everybody. And so I said, yo, I'm gonna make a book. I'm gonna compile a book, like Art of War, like what is that book, 48 Laws of Power? Like something like that. Because that was coming out around that time, and people started talking about that a little bit. And I was like, nah, it's going to be better than that because it's going to teach righteousness.
Yeah, righteousness.
Not weaselly, sleazy, how to deceive and trick people to get up. No, not that. Nah, but like how to actually win when you got a good heart. Your heart lighter than the feather and you still blessed. That's powerful.
That's powerful, man. Yeah. We definitely want to talk about the 5% Nation later on, man. Another thing is, so what inspired you to actually become a teacher?
Same thing. Because I was always treated badly in school, man. Like schools is the worst. Like public schools is like terrible. Private schools ain't no better. Because private schools, man, them people is doing weird things to the kids that don't have no money, or the kids that just ready to be up in that weird environment. It's always a mix. There's some kids that like it, and there's some kids that don't got no money, so they got to hang around and get molested.
Exactly.
Boy Scouts and all that. You know?
That's true, man.
And that's what I'm saying. Any sports leagues, you name it. It's like if you ain't got no opportunities, then you're going to be like, all right, I guess I'm going to go to this thing. But it's like, man, I wish it was all ethical and righteous people doing that. Exactly. I remember back in the days when school teachers would have like big like events for the kids, like have a big pizza party, like take them to the mall, take them to the ball game, take them to things that they might not see with their parents, right? Bro, I remember when that changed. I said, man, you can't even, like, you can't have these kids do nothing with you no more.
Yeah, man, it's
like,
real.
And it's unfortunate because now look how distant it's become.
Exactly.
Now they're on a screen,
you know
like little office workers. In kindergarten, though,
I know, man.
What's that doing to their heart and their consciousness? This is what they think and learning is, and the parent reinforcing it with a belt behind them. Like, you better listen to this screen. It's not even engaging, entertaining. You just learning how to be compliant. Them people is going to be 20 one day, my G. They going to be running the world. The people that was taught to be compliant, the people that was taught it was okay to snitch and lie and rat people out and, oh, look, nah, that one right there, that's the bad one. That's the troublemaker. So people, troublemakers like me is like, whoa, whoa, y'all getting us all out? All the troublemakers got to go? Well, the troublemakers got to be loud then. No, we ain't going.
We ain't going nowhere.
No. We can get doctorates and have nice things and build communities and all that. We ain't got to all be in the dumps emotionally or physically. So I want to encourage that. Like, yo, man, you could be a help. What did John Lewis just say, man? Peace to the ancestors. Good trouble. Good trouble. It ain't just about voting. It could be all kinds of good trouble. It could be anything. Because remember, they was voting because they was left out systemically.
Exactly.
Like, come on now, we paying citizens. It was about equal protection under the law.
Exactly.
That's what that was about. Nowadays, we just want to feel good.
Exactly.
Vote for the one that you feel the best about. We don't feel good about none of these folks.
Yeah. The one you just pressed a like on your Instagram page.
But ain't none of them worthy of a like right now. Kanye about the best we got.
Like them to leave.
Kanye is the best we got, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Ain't right, that saying a lot?
You right, bro. You right.
That's what I'm about to say. People be like, who you gonna vote for, Kanye?
Yeah. Pretty much. You're right, man. I mean, there's no, I have this discussion all the time. They talk about the lesser evil and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just like, well, the lesser evil is nobody.
The lesser evil is govern yourself.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's
the real when you do the lesser evil, because you don't know what kind of evil these people really even do.
You know what I'm saying?
How you gonna choose?
Exactly. I don't even.
And in uninformed people is the worst to like put choice in the hands of. So it's like that's why they intentionally making an idiocracy.
Yeah.
Dumbing us down by design.
Yeah, it's to me it's so interesting because once you really peep game to how it all works out, it's all predetermined. I tell people all the time, there's no difference between WWE wrestling,
right,
and politics. You got Hulk Hogan right now against the Ultimate Warrior.
True.
It's already predetermined.
I don't know how predetermined it is, though. I'm particularly fascinated by the unpredictability of this show.
I hope you're right, brother.
I enjoy it.
You know what I'm saying? Because I still eat my popcorn.
We was raised to exist in any environment. Like, that was what we was taught. We was taught that, like, you really, the whole thing about divinity, the journey of godhood or whatever, it's like, you're not God while you're up under other people.
Exactly.
You're not God while you need your man to show and prove that you're the true and living representation of the divine. Nah, like, go somewhere else. Go to Alaska. Go to Canada. Go to Mexico. And then raise up a community that loves themselves. All you gotta do is if you can teach original people self-love, then you've done the work of God.
That's it.
Nobody ever gotta call you God, and you better not ever have to call yourself that.
That's as natural as you can get.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And guess what? You'll live like that because then you get to understand what it's like. You have people that you take care of that's mad at you for what you didn't do for them, but you also gonna have grandchildren that grew up knowing that you took care of their parents.
Yeah, like we were building earlier. I'm just so happy I've been able to travel around and experience different mindsets as opposed to this American mindset because these people think that everything revolves around America.
I want to get into, but you got so many questions. I want to talk about this book.
we might hit that on part 2. Who knows?
Yeah,
we'll see. So, who are some of the influences on your path to knowledge of self?
Yeah, you told me about that. All right, so let's see. It's a good question because I don't think I really got the detail this like in depth like I want to. I remember that when I was young, real young, I got glimpses of what the 5% teach thanks to hip hop. But I didn't know what I was listening to. It just sounded real enigmatic and interesting. It sounded like I'm a child of Bengali immigrants, but I grew up in Jersey City in the crack era. So my upbringing was diverse. Yeah. And I jumped off the porch young. I was a runaway by like age 10. So I got to see a lot. And like hip hop culture and street culture really raised me. Like it was Latin Kings, they had like the corner right in front of my house, like every night. Like that was part of it. Then there was like the whole like Filipino, Cambodian, Vietnamese community off to this side. And then, we're surrounded by projects. And so it's like, my best friend was Puerto Rican. His family introduced me to like cockfighting and keeping the chickens in the basements and playing dominoes like while the goats is making noises, like trying to feed me chicken feet. Like I got a real diverse like background in like culture, and that's where I've seen love at. Love and family and solidarity and like the management of community, even between people that's not blood. There ain't no paperwork between them, but like shit got managed. Like pedophiles and molesters were getting chased and beat. Like these, I remember these stories. You know what I mean? I remember thieves was being exiled. It wasn't persona non grata. You couldn't come around no more. You getting blacked out of pictures. We put a mark on your face. You know what I mean? Like you don't even get to be in no photos. Like that was like a righteous code, right? So I learned a lot of that before I even got introduced to real knowledge of self.
Gotcha.
I got to see civilization and righteousness and then knowledge of self. Because then I was introduced by like one of the older brothers that was around all of us. He'd take us in his apartment, we'd be in there smoking, drinking, freestyling. But then he'd pull out his binder, and I'd be looking in his binder like, what's this? Arm, leg, arm, head, and the diagram crazy. And then it's like the original man, like black, brown, red, and yellow. And I'm like, oh, I got a place in this. Like this talking about me too.
Yeah.
So I was like, again, like, yo, really excited. So around this time, I'm encountering books for like ISIS Papers by Francis Cress Welsing. And From Niggas to Gods by Brother Akil, and African Origin of Civilization by Sheikh Anta Diop. I seen all these books, Medu Netter by Raoul Nefer Amen, right? The only book that was at my level was From Niggas to Gods. The other one's too advanced.
Yeah,
I didn't understand From African Origin of Civilization and Diop until like 25 years old. You know?
Yeah, that's about when it hit me. You're right.
I was on the way to having a doctorate by that time.
Yeah.
I had finished college and everything. But I'm talking about I'm 16, 17, From Niggas to Gods made sense.
Yeah.
It was very plain speak and it was sensible. It was like an intelligent man telling me what it meant to be God. I look for Brother Akil. I still be looking for him. I'm like, man, tell him to holler at me.
Yeah.
Where he at? I heard he out here. I heard he was out here.
Hopefully, you know, I'm gonna put your info on there, you know what I'm saying, so he'll be able to contact you. So, you know.
We need part 3.
Yeah.
I think we did a part 3. We need a part 4.
Part 4? All right.
Yeah.
You know,
because you know what? A motherfucker made a part 3 of my book, How to Hustle and Win.
Oh,
that
word?
took too long. You know, after Mecca passed, I had writer's block.
Oh, yeah.
I ain't making no more books for a minute.
Yeah, you tell me about that.
And so, like, somebody else like, yo, we've been waiting for How to Hustle and Win part 3 long enough. I'm gonna make it. Motherfucker titled it Sex, Money, and Murder. He said, we wanted a grimier one. The greatest irony, white boy in prison. Not just that he's a white boy, but a locked up white boy. You know what? I don't even know what to do with it. I don't even, do I want to shut it down or do I want to say, you know what?
Like,
I get it. I get it.
Especially if the content's on point.
It's
know
terrible.
What I'm saying? It's terrible. Look, different story. Pump the brakes.
Everybody like, yo, your part 3 was bad. Why you make that? I said, that's not me.
That's not me. No.
The latest book I made, I didn't even make it in my righteous name. I made it in my honorable name, the doctor's name, Dr. Sujan Das. This book took me like 7 years to put out because I didn't make no books.
Y'all gonna see that? I'm gonna
that
put
book
it
was
in
half done, and I was like, let me
there.
just finish it. It took forever for me to finish it, and like you would think, like I made like 30 books while me and Mecca was together.
Yeah.
Afterwards, like I said, I quit my school teaching job. I took a $70,000 pay cut because I was teaching with a doctorate, and that's another story altogether. But like, it was like a real invest in yourself and like go this path. And so to go back to the question you asked, like who inspired me, man, like think about Naeem Akbar. Like, man, he built a lane and he empowered so many men. He literally specifically sent books to prisons. And by dealing with the prisoners, he literally broke the chains of psychological slavery like it was. You know what I mean, in the books? Because he was doing that. He was teaching the community itself. Like back then, prison catalog on paper, I had that. H. Khalifa. Remember all them books he had out? What? That inspired me like to not just want to be an author, but to be a publisher, to create a curriculum, to create a body of literature. So when How to Hustle and Win took off, I'm like, I definitely want to do one on health. Now, y'all want to learn about health?
Yeah.
Okay, so who we holler at? Baba Dick Gregory. Baba Dick Gregory's pioneer. First one to write a vegetarian book for the black community. The first one. And then we have, you know, Lila Africa.
Of course.
Queen Afua. And Dr. Sebi, we don't know him for books, we just know him. Ain't that wild?
I know.
He didn't even have books, we just know him. Now that's dope when you just know something. What? You done heard that name?
The face of the name,
Right. And so those are some of the people that inspire me, but we can't leave out the fact that who has raised me to 5%.
5%,
See, because we was always teaching for free, but one thing is we always created like plus lessons, writings, newspapers, like things like that, like journals. So we was always creating media.
Always creating content.
If you study Ho Chi Minh and all that, and you go back, propaganda. How you gonna teach the people unless you got some means to communicate what y'all is on? Right now, the people don't know where to tune in to be like, what pages we on?
We're talking about,
what code do we have? And then I'm talking about, it's Asian people looking to get on code with black people right now. They just following the George Soros funding source, right? They was doing that because George Soros put all the money into the BLM nonprofit, which ain't even for the community. And everybody in the world thinking that BLM is black people.
Nope.
They don't know how to be in touch with black values.
Exactly.
Because a black value would never even have to damn self-deprecate and be like Black Lives Matter. I can't breathe. That's not black value. Black value. Man, listen. I ain't never even heard black people say they was scared until recently.
For real.
You remember back in the day, we would say anything but I'm scared.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
A motherfucker could be trembling.
That's
He could have a pistol and he don't know if he about to die. I ain't scared. Man, listen, I was just wondering about, like, I don't know if I locked the door. You know, he got lies.
Trying to play it off and shit.
But you know, the power in that was that godhood. Like, yo, no.
Yeah.
I'm not giving space for that demon.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, like, even my book, I have this one little quote, and I just talk about how the system only pretty much makes Negroes and niggers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's all the system does. Is you got two teams you can play with.
No, you got God.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's our team.
Right.
I'm talking about their team. You know what I'm saying? This system, if you follow everything you talked about, as far as going to public school, the private school,
describe this 10% to 85%. The 10% is the Negroes you talk about because they want to get a little bit better by being the buffer. You know what I mean? Handling that's a Chai Wallace handling administration. You know what I mean? Middle class. And then you got the people that just don't know better. So they submit to self-destruction.
That's true.
Fuck it. I'm a dead body. I remember reading the quote. I got so many inspirations, my G. I'm talking about so many. Like even Prophet Muhammad, right? Prophet Muhammad is amazing, man. Peace be upon him, man, for all he did.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't like anything that so-called Muslims and Arabs are doing now, that a lot of that don't go back to Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
That is not what he did. That's not how he lived. That's not what he taught.
It had nothing to do with it.
But one of the things that they said about him was he got so many hadith, so many sayings that they ascribed to him, that for him to have that many real sayings, he'd have had to been talking every day, all the time.
Yeah, all the time, nonstop.
For years. And I said, well, I could do that. I don't see why he didn't. Can you imagine he always had people around him like going to speak? And thankfully, those...
So, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and skip forward to this question because you already brought it up. Could you talk about your experience growing up as a 5%?
Yeah, man. I feel like I got a rep for all of us. Like when I say this part, because we're a lot like Vietnam veterans, man, like war veterans for real. And it's ironic because the father of our tradition was himself a Korean War veteran, a decorated one too. And the battlefield can make you great. It can bring out leadership. It can bring out loyalty. It can bring out perseverance. It can bring out the most cleverness, the most ingenious things that you've ever come up with in your life. But it also can leave you with deep traumas.
Yes, of course.
And so a lot of us are traumatized. We're traumatized by the battlefield of navigating human emotions. Most of us grew up in an era where human emotions weren't even entertained for our community.
Exactly.
We grew up with parents that didn't entertain the idea of having an emotional currency of going up or down.
Exactly.
They didn't give too much credit to this idea of high and low spirits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so for us, we started really feeling it but not knowing what to deal with.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why we couldn't admit when we were depressed and when we were scared. So we wanted to power up through it, but a lot of us, we went through like false mechanisms.
Exactly.
And so a lot of us, man, like we got this knowledge, and this knowledge will bring out whatever you are within.
Exactly.
So if you're suffering and you got some internal validation issues, you could become a narcissist and an egotist.
Exactly.
And then you'd be running around trying to prove that you got with your mouth, which is the last place to look, under your nose. You know?
Actual fact.
And so then there's those of us that lived it, and we taught it, and we shared it, and yet we were ridiculed by everybody that said we were crazy.
Exactly.
Most of the people I went to college with, they didn't accept me because they thought I was a little bit off kilter. They thought I was too far gone. Meanwhile, the people in the streets, they loved everything I was saying. And they had a more openness to it, even though they might have had a resistance to seeing themselves being able to do it. They knew it was right. Meanwhile, the people, like you said, that the 10%, those that was aspiring to be educated and well off, they was like, that's scary. Why would I want to be, against the system? I'm trying to get up in the system. I'm trying to do well within the system. I'm trying to be persecuted and be downtrodden. And it's like, well, there's a certain beauty in knowing what it feels like to be downtrodden.
Exactly.
Knowing what it's like to be homeless, sleep on the street, go through some things, And so like many of us that went through that, we've gotten this amazing appreciation for life and its journey, but the world treated us with such scorn and ill treatment that we got like a chip on our shoulder.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And it's like, I wish that the world knew that those of us that have been teaching this thing for 10, 20, 30 years are like the most gifted of men and women.
Exactly, that's the truth.
Despite the personal flaws, somebody might be a whole alcoholic or wino, but you're not going to tell me that there ain't no sages in the East that ain't drunken.
Hell yeah.
That's a whole, we got movies about the drunken monk.
Man, Shoot, Jesus would always turn the water to wine, man.
Let me stop. And not only that, but you know he was black because guess what he did? He took that wine and watered it down to feed a multitude.
You know what I'm saying?
How you think you feed a multitude with 2 bottles? Oh, he was making fish sandwiches. That was the first fish fry.
That was the fish fry.
That was the first fish fry. Yep. How do you take multitudes and feed them with 2 fish, with 2 bread? You spread the fish out and you make fish sandwiches.
4 family reunions.
That's right. That's how you know Jesus was black. And he was a troublemaker. He was a rebel.
He was in there knocking over tables and you know what I'm saying?
And people gotta love that part of him because that's what we lost. People gave up the religion and they also gave up the righteousness. They gave up the values. And now when you listen to him, they said in Revelation, all them books, that in the end times, the idolaters and astrologers were gonna be the main ones trying to scare the people through signs and stars. And they were gonna be wicked and they were gonna tell the people all kinds of dumb shit so the people be further scared and that they could have the power. That's what's happening now. We got rid of religion, but not religious thinking. So now the people ready to go to new pimps and 10%. So I'm like, yo, the 5%, we done talk this shit without desire for praise, without desire for money. Like I go through my own brothers because I'm like, y'all know I don't really give a fuck about money. I just need to be able to run a business where I can publish books that can go out to people that don't got no money. I need to be able to donate this book to prison. I need to be able to get this out to Mexico. I need to be able to go around and just do things that I believe in philanthropy. We gotta go from where we think like I can't be wealthy to where it's like you should be so you can be a philanthropist. Because people think it's like if I'm wealthy I gotta be like a weasel. I gotta be like a real pimp. I gotta be like a real charlatan. A low life, right? Like I'm sleazy. Like with my money I never do nothing good. Like all I do is buy jet skis and take expensive vacations. Like nah, you don't gotta do that. You could do other things. Like bro, I just thought like yo. Right out here, like with money, like with a little few extra dollars, it don't take a lot of money. You can give some of the local young boys $10 in a broom and say sweep up the broken glass, right? You spend another $30 to get them some T-shirts where they have community pride. Motherfucking what? This motherfucking SWAT's pride right here. That's the type of things that you can do when with a little bit of money but a lot of heart.
A lot of heart,
That's what we're looking for now.
It's interesting because like even on my journey, when I first started. You know, building like I was telling you that one time, like I talked about in the book when the brother gave me the Dr. York our bondage scroll. I had individuals
How
around me.
old were you again?
22 maybe 21.
Because you were like it cracked your skull.
Man. But yo, at the same time, the 5%. I was still building with 5%ers because they were actually the one that introduced me to. The Islam side of it all. You feel me? So I'm learning.
Had you ever seen a 5% lesson or plus lesson on paper? Before you got that scroll?
No.
I get it. That's why I cracked you because yo, the power of this written
book,
thing.
I know, man.
Yo, look at all the movies. These are the Stargates. You watch any vampire movie, witch movies, anything. It's always a special book and the light coming out of it. And I thought about it. I said, look at these little things on here. These are symbols. These letters. These are symbols that took thousands of years to take this shape. They still have meaning to them, which is why all the people in all the movies, they're doing something with symbols and letters and books and all that. Then I thought about what really happened when you read somebody's book. You're really traveling across space and time to join them in consciousness when they came up with this thought. Now you with them? That's a Stargate.
Because you and I, we can build on many of the many books we did before. We didn't even communicate prior to that, but still those books we can be on the same plane building.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's why I republished books that was 100 years old just to do that. To like get people like, yo, no, you home still. Like I got Indian people. Remember I'm Bengali. I got Indian people just now learning what ancestry means. See, a lot of black people in America think that we know ourselves and we together. Let me tell you, man, Asia got way more beef than the black community. Asia got way more beef than the black community. Let that be known, you know? Because it's a misunderstanding. Black people have this self-esteem thing. It's been marketed to them, man. Black America has been told that you don't read, you the worst, you dumb, all these things. It's like, man, I had an elder brother in the barbershop recently like, yo, no, it's not that we don't read. Don't participate in saying that. We may not read what we need, but we read. You read them comments, you read the text. You're not illiterate. Don't spread that illiteracy myth. It's about, are you reading things that's useful to you?
Yeah, exactly.
We may not know where to find the useful stuff.
I remember when I used to work at AT&T, I used to, it still blows my mind today, but it makes perfect sense now. But sisters used to sit at their cubicles with books all year, right? Reading. What books do you think they're reading?
Romance novels.
That's it. All, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would say...
Let's give it some credit. All right, let's do this.
Yeah.
We gonna move in 2021. We're gonna move into a super love mode.
Yeah.
We're gonna take everything we was gonna say that was criticism. Because that elder brother, he wasn't saying that in a loving way. He was saying it in a negative way. He was bitter. But I was like, let me take his thought and turn it into a positive. That's not the way he expressed it. The way he expressed it, the young boy and him got into an argument. If you get into a conflict with other people, then your expression needs work. Because we want to make our expression bring people together, to unify, to say things. That's why we say peace in our culture. Because peace, whether it's morning, night, afternoon, whether we got a problem, whether we coming or going, peace set a good tone.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's actual fact, man. Yeah.
So, the way I want to look at this is, she was still trying to take a journey.
Oh yeah, she was
wanted the journey with her mind.
There's no difference what we just talked about before, and that in her and that could be her religion at that. That could have been her religion,
or it could be her way of getting love.
Yeah, exactly.
She don't feel love, but when she get into this character, it feel like look at this, bro. I put amazing. If you look at the pictures, it's beautiful black men and women all through the book. Because I want to show you, like, this is you. This is your family. Like, at the end of the book, you're like, yeah, okay, black people made everything. But then it's like, well, what you gonna make? Yeah. Because you can make something right now.
Add to it.
You a creator.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I think that they've done such a good job just dumbing us down in every aspect, to the point that, like, your book, the title of this book, is Black People Invented Everything. See, you might just think you have to think of the full level of this comment.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you got to think about it. And I talk about it all the time. You go back, 20, 30,000 years ago. I think we built about this year.
Well, wait, hold on. How many people, and let's not be specific to black people. I want to be specific when I talk as who I am. Ain't no Asian people able to talk to you about 20, 30,000.
Yeah.
Ain't no Asian people. Ain't no white people able to talk to you about 20,000 years ago.
That's my point. So this book, when he says black people invented everything, when they talk about Lucy and them bones, like I talk about in the book, niggas were walking around with dinosaurs. And that's the damn truth. They'll tell you that. So in that essence, going forward, we had to create everything. You know what I'm saying? We had to create everything because there was nobody else here. Please think about that. Do your research. There was nobody else here. So you're talking about 6,000 years ago, when the civilized races started, coming out of the caves after the Moors hooked them up, fixed them up, and kind of taught them to be civilized.
Oh man, that's a long story.
Yeah,
man. We're gonna say that for a whole. That gotta be its own thing. White people is really fascinated to try to figure out where they came from.
Exactly.
But guess what? Nobody will teach them. Their own white people won't teach them. Nobody else in the world seem to know. Now the ones that do know, they done kept it a secret from them. You know who's the only ones that really got any of this history? It's Black Americans. Black Americans was able to get. See, you got to remember, Asian people sent missionaries. Not Christian missionaries, but missionaries that was teaching the tradition of God.
Yeah, exactly.
And they sent them to Europe, they sent them to America, they sent them in different phases. And some of the different things that they did resulted in being known as prophets.
Exactly.
Like American prophets. They even raised up white people. They raised up other leaders that we don't even know how this guy got so many. Like, where did Joseph Smith get this shit from? Somebody told him.
It's interesting. I was watching this Nazi show one time, and they were I can't remember the name of it, but they were pretty much saying that one of the reasons why the Nazis were going all over the place looking for history is because they were trying to tie themselves into modern human history. Because they couldn't, and so not only that, they started making stuff up. They started making artifacts and all this kind of stuff because they didn't have that true history of being civilized beings. You know
why? Because their leaders went to the Hindus. They went to the Indians. And the Indian sages, the ones that had the knowledge that go back 6,000 plus years, was like, they explained the swastika to them.
Exactly.
And they showed them how the swastika works, and they explained to them that, like, there's just 4 ages, and after your time is done, y'all are done.
Y'all done, yeah.
They didn't like that, so they tried to make the swastika in reverse. And they were like, we're going to re-engineer a new kind of man, the Ubermensch, the Superman, who will be able to survive and continue to exist.
On,
And they've been working on it ever since.
On that.
That's what Superman represents.
Yeah, exactly.
Superman was that ideology.
Yeah.
And so they've been working on that to the point where they're making robots, AI, like Terminator is a real thing.
You know, it's interesting.
It's hilarious to me.
Yeah, no.
For me, it's like a movie.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. It's interesting because I was talking to some brothers recently, and I was like, think about this. And you know this because of what your personal experience. I know it because of my personal experience, right? For weather to be changed, they had to make machines like what they call them, the heart machine, different stuff like that. We as melanated people, especially with activated melanin, all we got to do is chant.
Oh yeah, that's the rain dance.
You know what I'm saying? So a huge difference that people have to understand is that the connection to nature and Mother Nature that these melanated beings have. It's just that we right now we have amnesia. We're waking up, but we have amnesia for a short period of time.
We learn how to breathe again.
Yeah,
we learn how to do like, for example, like there ain't no exercise that you can do without knowing how to breathe, right? So even for you to get your body right, you gotta learn how to make your breath work, right? So we get our breath back. That's a lot of getting our spirit back.
I agree.
That's why they like trying to take your breath away right now. There's a lot of branding around taking the black man's breath away. Which is really to motherfucking take your spirit out, which is we're gonna strip you of God. That was the aim with the gay agenda, right? What's wild is I was in the barbershop again. Guess who was debating with the old black man? A young gay black man. But guess who was talking knowledge of self? The young gay black man. He said, I learned that when I went to Chicago that I'm actually related to Malcolm X. He said, now me, as a young gay black man, I was going through hell at the time. But learning that gave me a connection to know that I am powerful and I come from something strong, and it's like, this is my bloodline. He used the word bloodline. The reason why they really pushed gayness on black America was to end the bloodlines. So you wouldn't make no more babies that would carry on your legacy and your name and your tree and your story go back to God, because you might be from the tree of Shango. And they scared of Shango. They don't want no more Shangos. So they kill off people from the bloodline of Shango specifically. But like, they'll have a reality show to like, yo, we're gonna do a show on your family because y'all some godly ass motherfuckers. So they'll be like, we'll do a reality show. Next thing you know, they hiring black psychologists from the 10% that went to Harvard and Howard, right? And they gonna figure out how to unravel your shit. Next thing you know, you at the crazy house. That's a real thing that I know from people that's been on reality TV because they come from royal bloodlines, many of them. So
and they're dabbling so much and they connected, so they engage.
Well, the thing about the dabbling is all you gotta do is keep on taking the party invites. It's just about how much you want to go to the party, bro. See, people make it seem like you really gotta drink some goat's blood on day one. That's not it. It's about which parties do you get invited to. What do you see that you be like, that's wrong? Because guess what? If you say that's wrong, then you're not going to the next party. But if you say that's okay, then you get to the next party. How many parties you think I get invited to, bro? I'm okay with that because I don't need to be there. I'm with Denzel. Denzel said the same thing. I don't need to be at every party. Ice Cube said the same thing. I don't need to be at every party. And those are two of the few black men that navigated Hollywood without that type of sick stuff associated with them or their children. They are the few that are allowed to have black male children. Denzel's son is a boss. Ice Cube's son is a boss.
Indeed.
Everybody else's son was either killed or made into something other than himself.
That's
made into a play toy for men.
Not
even made into like some alpha gay man that's like, I'm fucking made in the butt. Like, no, like a little girl type of version. I'm not saying either one is better, but they was made a plaything.
And they're willing to sacrifice their bloodline for that. For a little money.
Let's speak to the willingness. Like, the willingness is challenging because remember, you're in a different space consciously.
I know,
Your will is stronger. There's a lot of us that struggle with will. We talk about our family members older than us. They would refinance the house. Where would the money go? Struggling, refinance the house 3 times. The house in the hood keep going up in value, but you keep taking the value out. What do you do with it? You throw a little feast, wear a little suit, do a little strut, and you spend on cash 3. Hella cash 3. Now the family's still poor. That was no will, no restraint, no discipline.
No discipline, no culture.
A lot of freedom, no culture. We seeing that being marketed to our kids now. All the 20-year-olds told they can be nudists and polyamorous without being righteous. No wonder you having bad experiences. Because you ain't doing nothing what we used to do back in the day. Just calling it a new name.
So kind of, and piggybacking off of that, the next question.
I'm amazed that this question somehow relates to that. How? This guy's good.
All right.
They should be paying you to do podcasts. Like, let me do your spot. You got questions to me. These questions are good too.
Do you follow a specific spiritual way of life, or have you kind of elevated to make your own?
Oh, I get to talk about something real. This is a good one right here. I don't know whether this one going. I don't know how well this one gonna do. Listen, man. I'm so tired of these retired 5%ers. Goddamn it. No, I love you. I know why you went through it, but they traumatized.
Say, well, tired 5%er.
That means I'm not God no more. I'm not God no more. Like, I was with the gods for a little bit. Like, I was with the Akis for a little bit. Yeah. What do that mean? Yeah. What do that mean? Like, when you tell me that they wasn't righteous and then you left, is you righteous now?
Yeah, exactly.
What does your righteous community look like?
Woo!
Because when you say, I'm just teaching my family, well, that's what a man do.
Yeah.
A king and a god got to go beyond his family to secure the community, because you know your family is affected by your community.
Exactly.
If your wife can't walk to the store, what the fuck did you do as a king?
Exactly.
You gonna be with her every day? No, you're gonna make all the men on the street, on the way to the store, respect her, including the store. Mm-hmm. That's what a king do.
Yeah, exactly.
And what God do is he make people respect the woman without them even knowing that's his woman.
Yeah, exactly.
He inspired the people to respect women.
Yeah.
Protect women. So I'm only saying that I don't care how down in the dump somebody is. Mm-hmm. As long as they still introduce themselves as a righteous person to strangers, that gives that person that clue. Your name is what? Divine reality? Well, can you teach me about my divine reality? As long as you're available in that capacity, I don't care how broken or whatever you went through, because that's who I was raised by.
Yeah, exactly.
I was raised by guys that was going through tough times. The brother gave me knowledge of self. He died in prison.
Yeah.
So I got love for that. Like what I got a hard time with is those who thought like they elevated past this. Oh, I've studied something new and now I'm this and that. What you are is you're a mixed up person. And a mixed up person can't spread community, because part of why we have lineage, part of why I can trace my family tree back to the first one that taught this, is because I can pass it on as a family tradition. And I can create family with family values and a code that they know about, because they know that word is bond and bond is life. And they must give their life before their word shall fail, because we all agreed upon this. I don't want to deal with nobody that's sketchy for them, and they be like, well, when my moon is in retrograde, my word is not bond. Get the fuck out of here then. I don't want that culture.
Yeah, no.
That's some new shit. That's cool.
Yeah.
You want to do the mixed up shit, you want to make a motherfucking jambalaya out of this, cool. But once you throw the shrimp and the pork in, I'm done.
Yeah. Actual fact.
Now, I got love for everybody dealing with any aspect of knowledge of self, though. Right? So, it's for everybody. It's a journey, not a destination. You know what I mean? It's an event. It's not an event. It's something you got to go through.
It's an experience.
Exactly. And it takes time and to go through stages. So I'm learning things.
Exactly.
By re-looking at my lessons and my mathematics that I didn't see 20 years ago.
20 years ago. So you're not that same person.
That's right.
Physically, you're in the same avatar, but you're not. You don't think the same. You don't react the same.
And I'm
if you do, there's a problem.
You're right.
Because you ain't learning.
That's why I'm thankful. I'm thankful that there was old brothers that was able to tell me while I was young that if you old and you don't see the value in these lessons no more, dust them off and go back through them.
Go through them,
And when I go back through them, I'm like, man, thank you. Because remember, it's like the Truman Show. We just create an experience for ourselves. So whatever tradition you was grounded in, aren't you learning to keep a tradition?
Yeah.
Because what do indigenous societies thrive on?
Tradition, culture, yeah.
You got one community, they do farming. You got another, they do fishing. They have different stories.
Yeah, exactly.
The farmer people don't tell fish stories. So, as the fishing people, you better get them fish stories and keep them alive.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you keep the fish stories alive, then 10,000 years from now, there may be people that descend from you that still do that same shit.
Same thing, yep.
If you don't keep a tradition alive, then they gotta figure it out. They gotta dig up a book. I gotta make my book bulletproof and bomb-proof so that you can find it and be like, oh, you're right. We did used to share.
Page 37.
We weren't like wolves. We shared with each other. Oh, that makes more sense. Fuck. Because it ain't gonna be no technology. You ain't about to dig up shit off the ground that's a fucking iPad in 500 years.
Nah, good luck
no.
with that.
Good luck. Right. Good luck with that. I'm like, can I get my books turned into stone somehow?
Yeah.
How do we get this shit engraved? Peace.